At the start of the movie, we are presented with two children who had no one in the world. A man buys these children and makes them his slaves, after which he had more difficulties in his life. His life was going on, but he was being treated very badly. That man used to make him do all kinds of work. The life of those two children was difficult, but they both took care of each other, and their dreams and thoughts were all the same. And when they grew up, they wanted to be a good general. They used to cut wood and collect it. After that, they practiced fighting with the same wood, and they had been training together for many years. They practiced fighting so that they could become good soldiers, and they also started using the swords made of their own wood very well. One day when they were training, a general comes there, who sees these two fighting, and then he goes to the man who bought them. He says that our kingdom is looking for good soldiers from all over the country, and I want to take one of the two boys I just saw fighting with me, so that he can go with him and take a good training, to join our good and best soldiers. But this was only for one person. The one whose name was Lee here is very happy, and he tells his friend that you have a chance to show your fighting skills. You go, I am very happy with them. Come on, one of us is going to be fulfilled. Then that night they fight for the last time, because this morning they were going to be separated. Lee tells his friend that I will train, and I will try to become a good fighter and reach you, with which my dream will also be fulfilled. Lee works very hard after his friend's departure. He now goes to the mountains and trains, and gradually becomes so good at fighting, that he could even break a stone with his wooden sword. One day when Lee was resting in his hut, then his friend comes to him, whose condition was very bad. He was about to die. His friend tells that King's brother tried to kill him, and when King's brothers came to kill King, then they attacked me thinking I was the king there. Lee's friend gives him a map while dying. He says that with the help of this map you will go to the village, where you will get an army, which will train you to become a fighter. His friend dies after saying this. Lee starts running towards the village as soon as he hears his friend, where some robbers stop his way on the way. Lee's years of training is useful there. One by one he kills everyone there, and starts his journey again, and finally the car reaches the village, where his friend gave the address, where he finds a hut, where he sees King, who was exactly like Lee's friend. He is surprised to see King now here. King tells him, your friend was bought by my general, because King and his friend looked exactly the same, and my general wanted to deceive those people who were planning to kill me against me, and that's why my general bought your friend, so that he can deceive people there. On the other hand, the same people, with the help of King's brother, they reach the man looking for Lee's friend, who had bought Lee and his friend as his slave in childhood. They also knew that the one they had killed was not King but his lookalike. There Lee was angry at this, that King sacrificed his friend to save himself. Then during their conversation, he is killed. Who killed Lee's friend thinking him as King, and tries to kill King again. He was provoking the killer Lee, that your friend's life has been lost because of this King. Kill him, King has deceived you. But Lee does not pay attention to his words, and attacks the killer because he was sure that his friend was not killed by this killer. Lee and the killer fight a lot, and after a lot of fighting, finally Lee kills the killer. Then he goes to King, but Lee was still angry at him, because he thought that the real reason for his friend is King. Because of this King his friend's life has been lost. But King calls him your friend. One of them made a sacrifice. That whole kingdom was for the whole kingdom. King says that it was necessary for me to stay alive, because I wanted my kingdom, the power of my kingdom. Stay with me. Do not go to my brother, who is a very bad and cruel person, and if this had happened, then the whole kingdom would have been destroyed. King says to Lee, will you help me make a good army, so that I can kill my brother, and take revenge for your friend's death? On the other hand, we are shown a brother of King, who was very angry, and because of this he was very worried. He orders his people to send more army to kill his brother. When King was in the jungle with Lee, then a man attacks him with poisonous needles, but Lee also attacks that man. He fights a lot with him and kills that man, and after killing him, he falls on the ground. Lee was unconscious, because he was also hit by a poisonous needle, but his good luck was that King saves him and takes care of him until he gets better. One day many armies come to him, who are scared to see both, but later they find out that he was a general soldier who bought Lee's friend. He was King's special man, and he still swears his loyalty, that he did not betray King, and then he promises King that he will help him get his royal throne, his precious stone. He will help him get it back. On the other hand, King's brother, who had not yet succeeded in killing King, but still he announces in front of his whole army that he is now the king of the whole kingdom. That's why he wanted to kill King too. On the other hand, King was very sad, because his army was much less than his brother's army. In this way, he could not compete with them, Now King's general tells him about the mountain tribe, who has a lot of armies. He says that we can help them. King also agrees with the general. They all reach the mountain tribe through a dangerous way, where their welcome is not as they thought. The army of the mountain tribe catches them, and takes them to their leader. When King goes to his leader, then he tells him everything. How his brother tried to kill him, and wanted to deceive the kingdom too. But the leader refuses to help King, because in the past, King's army had done a lot of injustice to the mountain tribe, but King apologizes for his past sins here. Seeing all this, the leader agrees to help. When he removes his mask, then we see, this leader was a girl and she promises King that she will help them, after which they plan that Lee will be sent as a king, and King himself wears a mask and joins the mountain tribe's army. Then when they reach the king's brother's palace, the leader of the mountain tribe tells his commander that he and his army want to join their royal army, which was the king's brother's army. The king's brother's commander is very happy, and then he allows everyone to come to his kingdom. As a result, everyone gathers at the palace of the king's brother, after which he suddenly attacks the army there. Lee and the general are asked to leave secretly, and himself attacks the royal army. Here the king's brother's army and the mountain tribe's army. There is a great fight. The mountain tribe's army was very large, and also good in the fight. Because of this, the king is successful in killing many soldiers there. On the other hand, when Lee was going through the cave, then he has to face a very big monster on the way, but Lee kills that monster with his sword, and then he enters the royal palace with his soldiers, where the king's brother was sitting comfortably on his throne. Then he calls his partner here, who was very powerful, and asks Lee to compete with him, but Lee also accepts his words without fear. There is a very good swordplay between the two, because both were experts in fighting. They were attacking each other again and again, because both had the same fighting power, and finally Lee kills the king's brother's partner. The king's brother, who sees his partner dying, who was very brave. After his death, he was also scared. He was trying to run away from the palace, but the mountain tribe's army surrounds him at the gate. Now it doesn't take long for the king to defeat his brother. The king defeats his brother in the first attack. Then the general comes there, who was the powerful general of his neighboring kingdom. He comes and asks the king, what was the reason for this war? The king says that he wanted to take his throne back from his brother, so that he could not use it wrongly. The king tells the general to gather all the kingdoms of Japan, so that everyone can get justice. Hearing these words, the general was ready to support the king. Everyone there celebrates their victory after killing the army. The mountain tribe's army is also ready to support the king forever. At the end of the movie, the leader of the mountain tribe gives Lee his sword. With bravery and sword, Lee goes on his journey to become a general. He was very close to him, and with this, the movie ends here.